Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Is
Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. This is There's Too Much Going On edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra at InForum.com. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend. There wasn't a shortage of things happening as we have officially reached the crazy time of year with snow fog in the air today. At least the temperature is palatable this morning on this penultimate day of February for 2023. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show. Welcome to our 2-hour tour that we do each and every day here from 9 to 11. And I'm looking at like our rundown that I do every day. I do a rundown every day. This is what I want to get to. And literally, I've ran. It's on 2 pages today. That's something our crew is probably just shaking their head at me, like, how the heck are we going to get all this in today? But literally, that's how much we have going on to discuss over the next 2 hours, which I guess beats the alternative. But trying to make sure we get everything in as NDSU football is made a hire. We'll talk about that during our show today. We are now into the girls' Class B championship week, as that will begin on Thursday, along with the girls' state hockey tournament. Also begins this week in Minot. First time we have that, which will be fun and interesting to see after we had a thrilling boys' state hockey tournament wrap up on Saturday night. I have a feeling quite a few of you watched that. We will dive full into that coming up on our show here this morning. The college basketball regular season ended in the Summit League, and I know a bunch watched that on Saturday. The North Dakota State men and women, both with some big victories, which we'll discuss during our show today. On top of the baseball season officially got going, and it's already a cluster, you know what? We will show you that. I know you probably didn't see everything. I know I didn't, but there are some things we have to show you from this weekend that are going to make you either shake your head, curse at the television, maybe both, or at me, which is fine. It happens routinely. We'll get to all of that this morning. Lots happening yesterday. I was almost to the poll question of what you watched yesterday because we had a bunch happening at the same time. You had NASCAR going on. We had the Wild playing yesterday. The Twins played yesterday. The Wolves played last night on national television and melted down, which we'll show you in a second. And the Dragons played last night. The Dragon men in the Northern Sun Conference tournament, which routinely gets, I don't know if undersold is the right word. It gets the proper attention from basketball fans in the area because I think they fully understand how good it is. But it routinely sneaks up on us, and then people are like, boy, that's really good. And it is, as we are into the semifinal round today, and the Dragons are still playing. Last night, MSUM hit the floor in its quarterfinal game against the University of Sioux Falls down at the Pentagon, and boy, the Dragons did not mess around last night. Jacob Benega with a deep three, who's been the stud of this Dragon team all season long. Dane Zimmer, the monster throwdown. Remember when Chad Walthall got Zimmer to commit out of high school, and he went and set the Minnesota State tournament record for rebounds in a game from Hopkins. And he did that routinely last night, getting to the rim, had 13 points and 15 rebounds. Nothing wrong with a double-double. And when Benega does stuff like that, 24 points on 9 of 21 shooting. Dragons are a tough team to beat. They won for the 23rd time last night, 76-56 over Sioux Falls. They were up 46-17 at halftime. The game was basically over at the break. I don't know if they let off the gas a bit in the second half, but They ended up winning by 20 to move on to the Northern Sun semifinals, where they'll play later today against Bemidji State. Should say tonight. As, how about this? For years in this conference, the Southern schools dominated, whether it be Sioux Falls, Mankato. Normally, those two at the very top of the Northern Sun. The Dragons would have good teams but couldn't get through. Obviously, Northern had some outstanding teams when Paul Sather was coaching there. But routinely, it would be the Southern teams that would be part of the Final Four. This year on the men's side, it is all Northern teams. As I mentioned, it's Bemidji against MSUM on one side of the bracket. The Beavers, who beat Wayne State, who was the top seed on Saturday. And the other semifinal is Saul Phillips' Northern State team against Justin Wick's UM Duluth squad. That's the first semi that goes at 4:30 today at the Pentagon. That should be highly entertaining. The two men's semifinals. I visited briefly with Tim Bergstrasser this morning. We were hoping to get him on the show, but they've got shoot-around going on as we're on the air. Told him if they win tonight, we'll get him back on tomorrow as the Dragons try to get to the second straight Northern Sun championship game. But a big win there for the Dragon men last night. 76-56 over Sioux Falls. So they'll play Bemidji State tonight coming up in the Northern Sun semifinals. On the women's side of the tournament, they will play their semifinals coming up this afternoon. No real stunners through the quarterfinals. Top seed Duluth advanced. Duluth's the team to beat on the women's side. Mandy Pearson, the former Cobber standout and assistant coach, of course, leading the Bulldogs. They'll get Augustana. That's the first game today, coming up at 11 a.m. in Sioux Falls. Augie was the 2 seed out of the South. The 1 seed out of the South is still there. That's Mankato. And they'll play the 3 seed. That's Southwest State. That was the one upset, beating the 2nd seed in St. Cloud State. That's the second semi, Mankato and Southwest State. Again, I'm preaching to the choir of the basketball fans around here. They know how good the league is and how good that tournament is. But if you have not invested in it, find some time today. It's pretty good. And you got nothing else going on today. Invest some time and check that out, especially for the Dragons, as they have a chance to play for the conference tournament championship for a second straight year. That happened last night. During the day yesterday, Minnesota Wild back home after the girls' state hockey tournament left. Don't even get me started on Gentry Academy winning. That's a whole other topic that we talked about leading in, by the way, before they played the Spuds. They beat Moorhead. Shout out to the Spud girls hockey team, by the way, which took the consolation championship over the weekend. Gentry ended up winning, which is going to fester some more harsh feelings. We talked about that story last week. But they left. The Minnesota Wild were able to get back into their home rink, hosting the Columbus Blue Jackets. And the Wild have suddenly found some things here. Had won 4 in a row. They lost to the Maple Leafs on Friday. And boy, it started off rough yesterday against the Blue Jackets. That's a horrendous turnover that ends up in the back of the net for a Columbus goal. It's 1-0 into the second. Liam Foudy, I'm sure you know him well, scores for the Blue Jackets here. Sure, we'd all would lose a few bets to name 5 Columbus Blue Jackets. It's 2-0. It's 2-0 against one of the worst teams in the league. Finally, the Wild started to wake up in the third period. Kaprizov gets a stick on it. That makes it a 2-1 game just a minute 15 into the third period. So the Wild have some life. Less than 5 minutes later, right off the draw. I mean, that's set up on a tee for Kaprizov to score on the power play. His second of the game knocks the game up at 2. So we go to overtime. And boy, that's not the guy you want to leave with open ice out there. That's a nifty pass from Kalen Addison. And Kaprizov wins it. It's a natural hat trick. And the overtime winner for the Minnesota Wild, who beat Columbus in a game you got to have. You got to have these games down the stretch. As they beat the Blue Jackets. 3-2 is the final. Look at that. Columbus is 6-17-4 on the road, which is not great. Good nerd stat here from our crew is Kaprizov, the 5th player in NHL history to complete a natural hat trick with the overtime goal and to give the Wild the much-needed 2 points. And all of a sudden now, Minnesota, 6-2-2 in its last 10 games, has surged into second place in the Central Division. The Wild are 2 points behind Dallas for the division lead. That's how tight these standings are. It was both in the NHL and in the NBA. These are the standings as we sit here this morning. But the Wild are just 2 points out of the division lead now. Colorado right behind them. Now, granted, the last wild card spot has just 70 points. So, there is no room for error. Calgary sits at 66 points. So they are 4 points back of the final wild card spot. So you got to get points in almost every game possible for the rest of the way. And the Wild have already played 60 games. They have 3 games in hand on the Avalanche, which, by the way, that's who they would play in the first round. That is not ideal. The NHL trade deadline is this week. I believe it's Friday. I would anticipate that maybe Bill Guerin will do something here to bolster this roster, which maybe he wouldn't have about 2 weeks ago, considering the way the Wild were playing. This is who they have coming up. They have the Islanders tomorrow night at home, and then they got to get out of Dodge because the state wrestling tournament comes to the X. The Wild go to Vancouver, and then Calgary. The Canucks are bad. The Flames are right on their heels, and then they're back home to play the Flames next Tuesday before they got to get out of Dodge again before the boys' state hockey tournament comes to the XL Energy Center. So the points are needed here for Minnesota. That was a big one to get yesterday. It's just funny how things have changed there. Meanwhile, how things have changed for the Minnesota Timberwolves. It wasn't that long ago. I feel pretty good about the Wolves. And then they played a clunker going into the All-Star break. Remember, they lost to the Wizards, right? So they have 8 days off. And then Friday night, I flip on the TV, just wanted to see, all right. And Kyle said it. Kyle, one of our directors, said it to me, like the Wolves are going to lose this game. And they lost to the Hornets. Charlotte, by the way, has won like 10 games all year. So now they go and play the Warriors last night. And Golden State, no Steph, no Draymond Green, no even Andrew Wiggins in the game last night. You better get that one, right? You better beat Golden State without their horses last night. And what happens? Well, Wolves got off to a great start in the game last night. Thanks to Anthony Edwards early on, although he did not have a good game for the Wolves. They're making shots in transition here. Our guy Naz Reid had a good game last night. At least somebody showed up. He had 30 points for the Wolves. But this is Golden State. They still have Klay Thompson on the floor. But the Wolves got up 10 as Reid, with a nice move and a nifty dunk there. Remember, Naz was big against the Warriors when they beat him in Minneapolis. I flipped it on right here, and I saw this shot from Klay. I'm like, oh, boy, this isn't good. Terrific turnaround fadeaway to make it a 2-point game. Then up and under move, and I'm like, this game is over. Dante DiVincenzo, the Villanova star, ties it at 96, and then drains a 3 there. And this is, the Wolves couldn't get a stop. Klay knocks down a deep 3. It's 105-99. They just couldn't get anything. But they get a turnover here. Anderson dunks it, makes it 107-104 with 24 seconds to go. Then they get another turnover here. This is the play of the game. I don't know why you don't call timeout here. Chris Finch said after the game, we like to play this out, but I don't know if that's the shot you want in the corner. I don't think so. The block shot at the end ends it, and the Warriors beat the Wolves 109-104. They blow a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter in this game. The Wolves with 11:06 remaining in the fourth quarter, they were up by 12 and lose this game. And Edwards was not good last night. You see that, 12 points, 7 rebounds. He was 5 of 19 from the field. If there's a highlight package we show you and Anthony Edwards is not in it, it's not a good night for the Timberwolves. And now suddenly things are getting awfully tight here in the Western Conference standings because the Wolves are now under 500 after last night's defeat. If you look at the up-to-date standings now here in the Western Conference, the Wolves have dropped from 6th to 9th. So they would be in the play-in right now, which, again, you want no part of. They would host the Pelicans as it would stand right now. But the Lakers, look out. They're just a game back of the Wolves. The Lakers won yesterday against Dallas in an epic comeback. I think they were down 27 were the Lakers in that game. So, and mind you, by the way, as you look at the games, the Wolves have already played 63 games. They only have 19 games to go. So some of these teams have many games in hand. Look at Golden State. They've only played 61. The Pelicans have only played 61. The Blazers have only played 60. So they have games in hand. That's why the Wolves can't be losing games to freaking Washington and Charlotte. Off today, they play the Clippers Tuesday, and then the Lakers Friday night. So you see those two teams are both there. The Lakers are just out of the playoff graphic here. They're trying to work their way in. And then Sacramento on Saturday. The reason the Wolves are on the road, the Big Ten women's basketball tournament is being played at Target Center. That begins on Wednesday, I believe. So Wolves are going to have to make some hay away from Minneapolis, and you cannot blow leads like that, especially when the Warriors studs are not playing. If Curry and Draymond and Wiggins aren't playing in the game, you got to win that game. You can't let Dante DiVincenzo beat you last night, which is what ended up happening. We are packed to the gills today. As I mentioned, we got plenty more to come on our show. At 9:35, Jeff Kolpack will be by, as he usually is, on a Monday to recap a crazy last day in the Summit League on the men's and the women's side. We now know the tournament field. We'll share that coming up here in just a few minutes. At 10 o'clock, Matt Chase will join us, the head coach of the girls basketball team in Garrison, North Dakota. Big night last Thursday, we told you, as the Garrison Lady Troopers are off to state for the first time in 15 years as they beat Shiloh Christian to win the Region 5 championship. The bracket came out late Friday night for the girls tournament. Garrison is the 5 seed. They will play the late game against Kenmare in Minot coming up on Thursday night. I will tell you what, folks, I'm going to guarantee you that'll have the biggest crowd of the 4. It'll be that Kenmare Garrison game to wrap up the night. And it might be the best game of the night as well. So we'll visit with Matt coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Dean French will join us, the head hockey coach of the South-Shanley boys, the state champions, after a triple overtime win on Saturday night over Grand Forks Red River. The first time that Fargo has won the boys hockey championship since Zach Kraft's memorable goal in 2012 when North beat Grafton to win the state championship. It's finally coming back to Fargo. Grand Forks had won it 7 consecutive years between either Red River or Central. It has just changed hands. Minot was the last non-Grand Forks team to win the boys hockey championship. It now resides at South-Shanley. We'll visit with Dean coming up at 10:35. That and so much more, including the pitch clock kerfuffle and our best of the weekend coming up as well. We're glad you're joining us here on a busy Monday. Lots to do. We'll do it more when we come back on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra at InForum.com. All right. Welcome back, everybody, here on a busy Monday morning. Don't forget, the girls' Class B basketball tournament is next up for us, along with the girls' state hockey tournament. Our coverage from Minot will begin on Thursday. Quarterfinal games, all of them you'll see on WDAY. The first game starts at 1 o'clock, then about 2:45 for Game 2. Then we'll take a little break, be back for prime time at 6:30 with Game 3, and then about 8:15 for the final game of the day for the girls' Class B basketball tournament, which we'll chat about coming up in our second hour with Garrison head coach Matt Chase. We'll do that later on in the show. The girls' Class B returning to the Minot State Dome. That begins on Thursday on WDAY. So much to get to, including state champion head coach Dean French will join us coming up at 10:35 after the thrilling game, which is a perfect segue to lead off our best of the weekend. Let's go right to Grand Forks for what happened on Saturday night. The Boys State Hockey Championship game between Grand Forks, Red River, and Fargo South. Couldn't be settled in regulation time. 18 seconds into triple overtime, John Lang with a perfect wrist shot to the far corner, wins it for the Bruins in the third overtime. A 3-2 win over Grand Forks Red River to give Fargo South its first state championship in 17 years. I got a feeling it felt pretty good for our analyst up there. He was the guy who coached the Bruins the last time they won a state championship, our guy, Dean Wilson, on Saturday night. What a moment for this young man who, by the way, scored the overtime winner earlier in the season just to get South-Shanley there. What a great reaction from his mom in the stands on Saturday night. Again, a look at the game winner. That is about as perfect as you get. And both teams were dog-tired. I mean, at this point, most of the time when you get to a multiple overtime game, it's going to be an ugly goal, a gritty goal, not a pretty one. That one will be remembered forever. And as I mentioned off the top, it's the first time since 2012 that a school from Fargo won the Boys State Hockey Championship. It has been handed off between Red River and Central since 2016. Minot was the last non-Fargo or Grand Forks team to win it in 2015. And South-Shanley wins the championship. The first multiple triple overtime game in the state title game since Grafton's epic win when they beat Red River 3-2. I think everybody remembers what happened in that game 15 years ago. I know I do. I know everybody in Grafton and Red River remembers what happens in that game. That was the extra man on the ice game to win it for Grafton. But congratulations to the Bruins. And again, we'll have Dean French join us coming up at 10:35. His reaction, we had a great shot. And shout out to our entire crew. It was so much fun to watch that on Saturday night. They did a great job bringing us 7 games over the weekend, starting with a busy day on Thursday. But that shot right after Lang scored, to see Dean French on the bench go nuts, and he has worked so hard. He's had his team there. They made it to the state championship game in 2020. After they played a triple overtime game to beat Davies in the semifinals, they ran out of gas when they lost to Red River that night, and I'm going to ask him about that. But congratulations to the Bruins and bringing home a state title. Now, earlier in the day, we thought that was fantastic. Earlier Saturday, we had another thrilling finish at the Shack. The Bison men, playing their final game of the regular season, had blown a 16-point lead against Western Illinois. Jamestown's Bowden Skunberg at the buzzer drains the game-winning shot, and the Bison pull out a game that frankly should never have been that close. But they beat Western Illinois 71-69. They secured the 3rd seed at the Summit League men's basketball tournament in the process. They end the season winning 5 of their last 6 games. Their only loss was to Oral Roberts on the road. Skunberg waited to the absolute last possible second to take that shot and drains it to give the Bison a big win. Had they lost that game, they would have slipped down to the 4 seed. That's because UND had knocked off St. Thomas, which was a bit eye-opening on what happened there on the men's side. Western would have secured the 3 seed. But it keeps you on the other side of the bracket from Oral Roberts. As you see the scoreboard from Saturday afternoon. So that, what a super Saturday. We'll just brag up us on WDAY that we had the buzzer beater there on the Bison men and the triple overtime in the Boys State Hockey Championship game. It's a pretty good Saturday for us here to bring that to you. So here's how the things stand now for the men's basketball tournament. Oral Roberts, of course, clinched the 1. They finished off an unbeaten season as they beat South Dakota State. So they'll be the 1 seed at the men's basketball tournament. They'll play the early game on Saturday. The Jackrabbits are the 2 seed. They'll play the late game on Saturday night against the winner of Kansas City and Omaha. UND will match up with Denver. That'll be the first game of the men's tournament on Friday. You see the Bison, they will get South Dakota. The Coyotes routed Kansas City, who's going the wrong way right now. Shamari Allen, their great player, is done for the season with a broken arm. It'll be the Bison and the Coyotes next Sunday night at 8:30. St. Thomas will get Western Illinois in the 5-4 game. That comes up Sunday at 6. And a reminder, Hot Mike will be in Sioux Falls next Monday, right after the Bison game. We'll be there at the Premier Center. Break that down, and we'll see if we're staying any longer. We got plenty more on the Bison men when Jeff joins us here. It was an odd reaction after the game from David Richmond after the Bison won on Saturday. Lastly, how about one more buzzer beater? I hope you watched this yesterday, folks. I know there was a ton on, and the sun was out. It was nice outside. Iowa, Indiana women's basketball. These are 2 of the top 6 teams in the country playing in Iowa City yesterday. And again, we have featured Caitlin Clark plenty of times on the show. So if you don't know her by now, it's your own fault. What a game this was. Iowa had a chance to win it there, missed a bunny. Indiana gets the rebound. Now 3 seconds left, and a foul is called against Iowa. So Indiana goes to the line. They hit both free throws. Now remember, in women's basketball, if you have a timeout, you can advance the ball up past half court. So Iowa does that. You know who's going to get the ball. You know Clark is going to get it. And she gets open off a curl, and wouldn't you know it, she drills a game-winning 3 at the buzzer, and Iowa beats Indiana 86-85. And I will tell you right now, shameless self-promotion, the women's basketball championship game is on ABC. It's on WDAY. If you do not watch at least her and Iowa play, then you're missing out. That was phenomenal yesterday. Our good friend Lynette Johnson actually went to Lincoln last week to see Iowa play Nebraska. She brought her daughter to see Caitlin Clark play. Got Caitlin's autograph. I can't wait. We're going to talk to Lynette, I think, on Wednesday to preview the State B. But she did that to see her play in person. I chatted with her last week about it, and that's why she's making that kind of impact in the women's game. And Iowa's going to be fun to watch in the women's basketball tournament. They're going to be a top 2 seed, and we'll see what happens at the Big Ten tournament. Again, as I said, it's playing in Minneapolis at the Target Center beginning on Wednesday. We'll break. We come back. Jeff Kolpack will be in. We'll break down what we saw from the Bison men. The Bison women finish off their best season in Division I. And Matt Entz has another coach on his staff. We'll talk all about that when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra at InForum.com.
It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
Well, we start each Monday on our guest portion with Jeff Kolpack from the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead. Happy Monday to you.
Good morning.
Well, I'm still kind of shaking my head after what happened on Saturday afternoon. We were up at the Shack. The Bison men pull one out in a game where they twice had a 16-point lead against Western Illinois. Bowden Scunberg gets a game-winning buzzer-beating shot. The Shack is alive on our broadcast. Head coach David Richmond with Logan Campbell was about as downtrodden as you can be. Post-game press conference was a similar mood.
Different.
Yeah. I get it, and I got a couple emails I want to read to you that from people that either watched our broadcast or saw the post-game on wanting perfection or wanting more. But that just seemed odd to me, Jeffrey, after the game on Saturday. What about you?
You know, it seemed like, if I may reference the movie Hoosiers again.
Go for it.
When Norman Dale, Gene Hackman, one of his players kept scoring and he wasn't running the offense like he should, and then he told him, "You're on the bench." because he didn't play defense and those things.
Yeah.
So the fans look at it and go, well, how's that? Why is he? This guy's scoring everything. Why is he on the bench?
Yeah.
I felt like it was sort of a similar moment in that, NDSU's been to the Summit League Championship game each of the previous 4 years. Dave has been to the NCAA tournament three times. Guy knows what he's doing this time of year. So who am I to say, you are just totally off base here in going all negative after such a dramatic game-winning shot. I guess he has earned the benefit of the doubt and how to coach in late February, early March.
Email comes in. Dom, do you think Dave Richmond has become too negative towards his men's basketball team? It seems like whatever they do, he does not find too much to praise them or talk about positively. I get his standards are high, but this year's team is very inexperienced and, in my view, has performed well after the new year. Yet when I see and hear and read his interviews, he's overwhelmingly negative. In some ways, I wouldn't blame Grant Nelson for moving on after this year, either to a Power 5 with an NAL or to the next level. I hope he doesn't, as he's a generational talent at NDSU. Appreciate the email. What do you make of that?
Well, I don't think it's a picnic anywhere you go in college basketball and Division I athletics. It's not going to, what did Craig Bull say? The brownies. I mean, it's not brownies everywhere, which is kind of a slap in the face on toughness of brownies, by the way. But I don't think, it's a high level of competition.
Yep.
And that's what you sign up for when you go Division I basketball. This is not junior high ball.
No. And to his point, he's exactly right. My dad texts me the same way.
They played bad.
They were up 16. That game should have been a boat race, frankly. The Bison couldn't have played any better in the first half. And then from the 16-minute mark of the second half to the very end, Western Illinois kicked the crap out of them. I mean, I don't know what happened there.
It's a combination. They're just, as good as Grant is, he's not the Vinny Shaheed type of player where Vinny could take the ball, go to the hole at a moment's notice, and carry your team on your back. Lawrence Alexander the same way. That's the position you need. You need a point, and NDSU's point guard's a true freshman.
Correct.
That's a lot to ask for Damari Wheeler-Thomas to put a team on your back and carry the ball and take it to the hole when you can. So, these freshmen are playing like freshmen, be honest with you.
At moments they are.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was, 0 for 5 was Javis Miller. So
Bison started the year, though, I will say 3-11. They finished 14-16. That's a heck of a turn. To the emailer's point, that's a heck of a turnaround. And right, third in the Summit League again. That's the 5th straight year the Bison have finished either in the top 4 of the Summit League, which I've hounded Dave on. I said the Bison every year have to be in the top 3, and I will stay to that. They do that again this year with about as inexperienced a lineup as you can have. And Jeff, as we look now at the path of the bracket here, they're going to get South Dakota on Sunday night, a team they split with, a game, you remember the last time they played in Vermillion, that was about as an ugly a game, and I know Dave is fully well aware of that, and we'll chat with him when he comes on the show on Wednesday, but they stay on the opposite side of Oral Roberts, and if they were able to get Pi USD, a potential matchup with the Jackrabbits likely would loom a week from tonight.
Who are beatable?
Yeah, I mean, SDSU, the Bison beat them already this season. SDSU got tripped up by Oral Roberts. St. Thomas will get Western Illinois. I mean, it's going to take something special, I think, to beat ORU. But on a neutral floor, we have seen that happen down in Sioux Falls.
We saw it with Western Illinois beating South Dakota State.
That's right.
Twice.
With Mike Dahm as the player of the year his senior year. That's correct. And the Bison unexpectedly made it to the NCAA tournament was Western Illinois that year. I don't know if Denver or UND has that potential to do that, but you never know. That Western Illinois team with Trenton Masner, man, they get going. That is a tough squad. That is a tough team to beat.
Boy, he can really shoot the rock when he gets going, and when he had a couple of those fadeaway threes, it's like, okay, that's some pretty high major stuff. He's been around a while. I mean, there's a guy who just got better over time and stuck with it in Macomb and stayed there. How many players stay anymore?
Well, he's right. I mean, he transferred in from Northwestern State, where he was kind of an average guy, and he's become a superstar in Macomb. To that point, our poll question today, which you can vote on at Hot Mike WDAY, who should win the Men's Basketball Player of the Year award in the Summit League? Is it a slam dunk that it's Max Asmus because Oral Roberts went unbeaten? Does Grant Nelson get some votes here, or is anyone else in your mind? Who would you vote for?
Well, I think you got to go with the guy who led the unbeaten team, and Max Asmus. I mean, I don't think, as good as Grant has been, and he's had a great year, I still think there's a team component there that has to go in the most valuable player honors. This isn't the best player, and he may be the best player too. I mean, the guy's a tremendous shooter.
Really good player.
But he's most valuable player to a team that finished unbeaten. I don't know how you not vote for him.
But I would tell you, I voted for Grant Nelson.
I knew you would.
I did.
Yeah, you're such a homer.
I'm a homer. But I would tell you, and my definition of it is
What's your definition?
Most valuable to your team. If you take Max Asmus off Oral Roberts, they still win a lot of games. They're still McBride's really good. Vanover's good. They still got a ton of dudes.
That's quite the if, though. If you take this guy,
if you take Grant Nelson off the Bison, how many games do they win? And how many games did they win when he didn't play this year?
But he's on the team.
I'm telling
they didn't take him off the team. I feel like a Seinfeld episode.
That's my definition of it.
Is he on the team?
He is.
Then he's on the team. They didn't take him off the team.
And again, his value to the team is more important than Max Asmus then. If you want me to frame it that way, I think Nelson's importance is more important. Oral Roberts won the league. And it's a slam. It's easy to give him to him. It's like voting for the voting
well,
for
then
the
give
Yankees
it to him. If it's that easy, then give it to him.
Because I think
you just said if it's that easy.
I think Nelson's performance was more valuable than Asmus's was. That's my.
Now does he stay?
Well, that's a better question. We had that poll
question. That's a poll
question.
Week.
We had that last week, and it voted was no. Now it was a differentiation about where he would go, whether it was the NBA or a Power 5. I think most people are in the boat of a Power 5.
I sat down with his parents before the game on Thursday, and great people, Meg and Nels. You try to ask the question as close as you can without being totally too much point blank. But they said he has a decision to make.
No doubt.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yep. And that will begin as soon as the Bison season ends, whether that's next Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or if they make the NCAA tournament, whatever. That will.
I don't think he's NBA ready. I don't think he's NBA ready right now. I think the best path to that would be if you found a good Power 5 offer and you were able to go there and contribute and up your stock. See,
the interesting point about then where. You look at some of the leagues out there, and we're getting deep in the weeds on this, but where would that be? I was told it's highly recognizable schools are out there. So, I mean, you can put your own, 2 and 2 together on that.
And on that note, and your story with Al Evans, that's in InForum, and I did a story 2 weeks ago. Interesting quote where she said, I wanted to go somewhere my first couple years.
I thought the same exact thing. When she said that to me,
so
I'm like,
is this an orchestrated thing already? And maybe that's how you recruit.
Absolutely it is.
Jory, you go, you know what? I'll give me 2 years. And I'll develop you into a high major player, and then you can go elsewhere. Give me 2 years.
I thought the same exact thing, and that's exactly where we're at. If you missed that, it's available at Inforum.com. Thanks for the plug on that. But I thought the same thing when she said it to me, like, okay, so was this a plan then? You're going to play here a couple and then go? Yeah. Probably. I mean, her staying all 4 years is probably a pie in the sky kind of thought.
And like I said on the show 2 weeks ago, but then now you really don't have a legacy.
No,
you're here a couple years. You're there a couple years.
Kids care about that?
I don't think so.
No, they care about if I get a chance to win, which obviously the Bison did that this year. But
I guess it's no different than my son going JUCO baseball and then going to Duluth for 2 years. I mean, there's really the same thing.
I think it's something worth watching there. Speaking of the women's side, by the way, Jory Collins gets their best finish since Amy Rulli's last season. That's tremendous. They've never finished higher than third in the Summit League. They take second. They win 18 games, the most they'd won since Amy's first year of the transition. You remember that? They beat they weren't playing a full Division I schedule then either. I mean, their only loss, I think, was to TCU, if I remember right, that season.
Yeah, now if they can just keep this team together for the most part and then add you're going to have to replace Banky inside. If you can find another transfer like a
like Taylor Brown. Brown's been a gold mine there.
They're going to need to find another Taylor Brown to come in and give immediate minutes.
Now, they really like their recruiting, but those are freshmen that they're coming in. I mean, that's not experienced players that are coming in. Eric, you can keep that up for a second. So this is the women's side of the bracket where SDSU obviously got the 1. They'll play the winner of St. Thomas and Western Illinois. The Bison women play Saturday afternoon, the late game at 3, against the winner of Denver and Kansas City. That game is Friday. They swept Kansas City. Remember, the Bison lost at Denver not that long ago.
By a decent margin.
Yeah, Denver got them by double digits, and yet the Bison beat Denver by 30 when they played in Fargo. The advantage, obviously, Jeff, is those two teams are playing the day before. The Bison will have not, so NDSU will have and if they win, they'll play either UND and Omaha, who play Sunday. So the Bison have a distinct advantage here over a team that will play the day before each time if they're able to win.
And then sit there and watch them and scout them. And yeah, it's a huge. I like this format, don't you?
I do too.
Yep.
I think this is definitely will catch on. Obviously, I don't know if anybody's going to go. That's the thing on Friday. You know
I guess
what I mean?
the one caveat is St. Thomas isn't eligible. So in essence, the Tommies could play total spoiler.
Absolutely
and knocking
right.
off somebody's dream.
That's why give me a hard time about that. I think the St. Thomas men are going to win a game of the tournament. Now that means they'll beat Western Illinois. I'm on record in saying that, but I think you saw them. I mean, they got shooters.
Who their freshman guard escapes me?
Rhodey.
No, the rumor is
Rhodey's gone.
He's gone.
He's Wisconsin bound. I think that's.
I think he's a Wisconsin kid,
yes,
right? He's from Milwaukee area.
Yep, correct. So, I mean, you can put 2 and 2 together there. That's just the nature of the beast where we're at. We're due for a break. Let's take one now. We come back. Matt Entz has wrapped up his coaching staff. He's hired Jeff Phelps from Mississippi State. We'll introduce you to him when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra at InForum.com. All right, wrapping up our opening hour.
Is that a live look at downtown Fargo?
It is live.
Look how gray it is. Oh, just gray. Dab.
That is
dank, dark.
a good word to describe from
February.
Yeah, Wapane's not looking all that
danker
hot
and
either,
damper and grayer. Is grayer a word?
Thankfully, it's not the opening day of the
Is there
Legion
anywhere that's
tournament
sunny
there.
in this world?
Not at least in this part of the world. No, I don't think so. Back with Jeff Kolpack here. Matt Entz has completed his coaching staff. Pete Thamel from ESPN first reported on Friday that Jeff Phelps is the new defensive tackles coach at North Dakota State. Comes from Mississippi State. Prior to that, Washington State. So he spent the last 6 years with the Pirate and the late, great Mike Leach. Has roots in the Midwest. He spent 5 years at the University of Minnesota. Prior to that, 4 years at Northern Illinois in the MAC. What do we make of this hire?
First thing I want to do is sit down with him and go, give me your best Mike Leach story.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got a few.
I could spend an hour listening to him.
Right.
But what we make of it is when you're a Power 5 coach and you're on a staff that has change
Turnover.
and you're looking for a job, oftentimes you'll have to go down a level, and that's what we see right here. It's a great hire. Now we'll see how long he stays here. It almost feels like more of a Craig Bull early years where Craig would go to the recycled coach route. And then he started to change that, hiring Nick Gazer out of Duluth. He got more local anyway with his
Kleiman
hires.
he hired.
Yep. Northern Iowa.
Connor Riley he got from Omaha. Same route there. There's a couple of changes here. So Nick Gazer, he coached the whole D-line this past year. Clearly, I think what is a message here is maybe that was too much. Is that a safe assumption for us to go with here?
I think it's the only assumption to make, absolutely. And because, Nick Gazer and Buda Williams, the D lines under them,
teamed up for that.
And maybe it's just too much. I mean, D tackles and D ends are almost two different positions.
Right.
Even though you could classify them as defensive line, and they tried that for a year, and maybe that just
didn't work.
No.
Yeah. So it assumed that Gazer may will be the defensive ends coach. Entz told me over the weekend that it's likely maybe a new title come Nick Gazer's way. Grant Olson adds the title of, along with linebackers coach, of special teams coordinator that he'll take on for the 2022
season. Another ascension
season.
for Grant. He's no longer young Grant anymore.
No.
He's been around the block a couple times.
Fifth year with the Bison now as a coach. And then Jason Petrino, who's the defensive coordinator, will also coach, as you reported, when he got hired as the safeties coach. So that's and Lou Walker will still do the cornerbacks with Cody Morgan moving on. So the defense going to have a bunch of new players and a bunch of new coaches as well here, which as spring ball, we're less than a month away from it starting, is going to be really interesting to watch when it gets going here.
Yeah, but will we glean much? Because, you and I can't watch much practice.
Will we glean much?
Much?
I think we can get something, but probably not enough to
just
make a
maybe
whole
a
lot
depth
of
chart
right
heading into summer,
which I think is important. I think we do need that, but is it a whole lot to say, well, we have some definitive answers? No, I don't think we're going to get that.
Is this the Ryan Jones, Ty Satter? Is somebody going to emerge here as somebody who's been here a year, 2-3 years, and now it's your turn? And the pandemic has really screwed that up too. Guys coming back, it ruins the natural progression of Kids moving up.
And any issue's not alone on that. Everybody's in the same. We still got another 2 years, as you've written about. We still got another 2 full years of that to work its way through the system, especially in football. I think football is the one that's the biggest clunker on that for either guys anticipating that players
Any of
will
these
move
guys,
on.
do we know Kobe, has he found a new place? I don't think so.
We have not
Dom
heard
Jones, I don't think so.
nothing.
Eubanks,
No.
I haven't heard.
No, and right now, I mean, they're still in school here. So, because you can't enroll yet in a new school. So that might be something we don't hear till April or May. Not saying they're not going to find a place, but they're still enrolled, as far as I know, in school here.
Well, I think you have to be. Yeah,
right.
You have to be.
So that's why I don't know if we're going to hear anything on that maybe till April or late. Heck, with Quincy Patterson, it was early May when that popped. The transfer portal window opens again May 1st. So I expect.
But these guys have already declared, so you don't have to worry about the window. They can go anywhere. They can announce anything at any time.
Correct. We have not heard yet. So mum's the word on there. But the Bison football coaching staff is filled out there, and we mentioned now it's also NFL Combine Week, so it's going to be awfully interesting there. Noah Gindorf and Hunter Lipke are going to Indianapolis. Now, Gindorf told me he'll be able to do some drills, nothing running or anything like that, but he'll do the bench press, and obviously the medical testing is going to be huge for him. Lipke, I don't think he'll be able to run. Certainly he's not going to be able to catch anything. All in anticipation of trying to be ready for a late pro day come about 6 or 7 weeks time from now.
I think the biggest thing is for these guys in the interview session with teams to lay out their timeline on health. I will be this healthy, at this point.
I still think Hunter Lipke is going to get drafted. I don't think that's going to affect his draft stock. Gindorf, I think, is probably a free agent guy. Cody Mauch certainly has helped his chances of getting maybe a potential first-round pick. The offensive line drills, for people that want to watch this stuff, comes up a week from Sunday. So last week from yesterday is when the offensive linemen are on the field in Indianapolis there.
You watch it. You don't know anything, do you?
I watch.
You watch it, but you're not
fascinated to it. I don't know what they are.
You're not going to take anything out of that. Oh, that's a nice reverse pivot as he flattened him.
Well, that's why we have the experts in here, because we had Joe Haig on right after he did his drills, and we had no idea we were asking, but clearly he helped his stock there. So it'll be fun to see how that plays out. Thanks for coming by, my man.
All right,
great to see you. Jeff Kolpack joining us each and every Monday here on The Big Show. We'll take a break. We come back. We'll get our Class B girls basketball preview continuing. We've already talked to a couple of teams. You'll meet the team from Garrison as they're back at state for the first time in 15 years. Hot Mike, Hour 2 starts right after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Hot Mike ready to rock and roll here on this Monday morning. South-Shanley boys hockey head coach Dean French will join us coming up after their state championship win on Saturday night. That's coming up in about a half hour's time. As we mentioned off the top of the show, it just keeps on rolling with what we've got happening this week. We have the EDC and WDA basketball tournaments that will kick into high gear tomorrow. The Spud hockey team will play for another section championship on Wednesday night against Roseau. And we got the girls hockey state tournament happening in Minot at the same time as the girls State B, which tips off Thursday on WDAY. And for the first time since 1999, the Garrison Lady Troopers are part of the Final 8. It's our pleasure to welcome onto Hot Mike head coach Matt Chase in his third year in leading Garrison. They won the Region 5 championship on Thursday night when they beat Shiloh Christian at Mandan High School to make it to Minot. Matt, congratulations. Thanks for the time this morning. Just we were visiting off air. Just give me the sense of the last 3 or 4 days. What has it been like for you and your team?
Yeah, like I mentioned, we're a tight-knit group. The girls, myself, my assistant coach Luke Gearing, and all of our families are. I mean, we're having team suppers, once or twice a week, nonstop. We're a family. So these last 3-4 days have been really, really special, and I've been cherishing every minute of it.
Has your phone been blowing up?
It's been nonstop, actually. I've after the game, I had 68 text messages, and I don't think that's ever happened to me before. So I'm kind of popular now. I don't know if I like it or not, but it's been pretty fun.
Well, take us back to Thursday night. You're playing Shiloh. You know the challenges inherent in facing a team like that, and how the game played out, and why did your team succeed in the crucial moments there?
The first game, we played them the last game of the year, and we had a really good first half. We just kind of jumped on them a little bit, and then you play good teams like that have been in the moment before. They're going to make a run. So our energy and our focus, we kind of lost in the second half. We got into foul trouble, but the second game, we were just going to try to spread the floor out the best we could. And they were denying my shooters, so my shooters hate that. They want the dang ball, and in the second half, they're running around all over the place. And the second game, we just said, just be patient and trust the system. We're going to try to spread Carly Klein out the most we can, and let my freshman point guard kind of go to work and make decisions. And thankfully, they didn't adjust as well as they did the last game, and it was 32 minutes of great basketball of my team, and they bought into to what we wanted to do. So.
Tell me about the last 30 seconds. For you, the emotion of that? You've been around this program, as we were talking about off air, for a long time. What did that mean for you?
I kept looking at my assistant, Luke Gearing, and asking him if we had it yet, and he wasn't going to let me, because, hey, that was the best 32 minutes of basketball we had played all year, and we kept stretching the lead. Then they'd make a shot, and with about a minute and a half to go, I think Emily Schleyer took a three, which I wasn't really happy with, but when it went in, I was just relieved almost, and at that time, I kind of knew we had it, and there was a lot of emotions running through me. Like I said, all the parents, my wife has been a rock star, cheering me on, and is there during the bad times, and just my fifth grade daughter's on the bench with me and has been, and it's just so special. And I'm glad, like I said, it couldn't have happened to a better group or a better community.
This is a whole generation, Matt, that has not been to the State Beak basketball tournament. I have to imagine you've heard from probably almost everybody that over the last couple days.
Yeah, I was an eighth grader, and I remember watching a couple of the games. At that time, I didn't know I was going to be a coach, but I remember watching those games, and they had a dang good basketball team there too. So we're happy to be there. It's fun.
So now it's Monday. It's game week, tournament week. How do you adjust for when you get back in the gym today? It's like, okay, that was fine and dandy, but we still have more work. We have 3 more games to go.
Yeah, I've been kind of trying to drill into their heads that we're not going to be a team that's going to show up and just be happy to be there. We have the kids and the team to go up there and make some noise. And I've been watching film on Kenmare. Obviously, I know who they are. I got a lot of respect for Mike Zimmer. He's done a great job up there. But our practices have been extremely competitive all year. They've bought into it. There's no complaining. I got the Iron 5. I'm sure you heard. I got 5 girls that virtually play 30 minutes or more. So I've almost felt bad at times while we conditioned so much, but they haven't complained one bit. They've bought in, and they're locked and ready to go.
You played Kenmare earlier this season. I know it didn't go well. How much do you look at that? Or is it, that was so long ago, we can't even really use that for anything?
We're a next play, next game mentality type team. I don't let that. We had just come off a Central McLean game, and they were number 3, I think, in the state at the time, and we had just a lot of emotions running. I didn't prepare for that game like I should have. So then in turn, my kids weren't prepared. I just didn't want the weight of the world on their shoulders. We're going up and playing the number 1 team. Yep. I'm trying to get them to focus one game at a time. And really at the end of the day, that game meant nothing to us reaching our goals. So we forgot about it. I'm not even going to go watch that film. And we're just going to focus in and, watch the last couple of games they played and see what adjustments we can make. And hopefully it goes a little bit better for us.
When you saw the pairings come out, though, what was your reaction when you saw who you were matched up with?
Well, Zimmer was texting me back and forth, and we were kind of I actually thought we were going to end up with rugby. I really did. But it didn't matter. I was happy. Like I said, Mike and I consider him a bud, and he's done a great job up there. And yeah, it's going to be really fun. And I know they're probably a little bit different of a team, and I know dang well we are a different team. So it's going to be fun. It should be rocking at 8:15 in the Dome.
To have that late game as well, Matt, what do you think that means? I have to imagine almost everybody is going to be at the game at the Dome on Thursday night.
Yeah, a lot of people that haven't, I don't think, came to our games have been reaching out to me.
Nice.
And they're going to be there. And my girls, I think, kind of wanted to make it a little bit longer of a road trip for them, especially my seniors. But, being so close to the Dome, I think that we're going to have a lot of support there. I really do. And that's going to play a factor in it.
Well, I said off the top of the show, seeing who you're playing, you very well could have the best crowd of the day since Kenmare's not that far away either, you could have that could be an outstanding environment Thursday night.
Oh, absolutely. They travel well.
Yes.
But the last month or so, our crowd has gotten behind us, and like I said, I think it's going to be a packed house both ways.
Tell me about just the anticipation for this. We were visiting off air that the traditional pep rally. I mean, it's 1999 last time. It's a long time. I imagine you're going all the balls to the wall here, I would hope, right?
Yeah. and something I tried to envision into our kids, all week. I don't want to, they have a tough enough time focusing on things, but I just said, envision that bus ride home Thursday night, girls. Think about that memory that we can make, and something that you're never going to forget for you, your kids, your family. It's something that's just going to be stuck with you for life. And they really embrace that. And I think Tuesday night we got a pep rally. And like I said, my best friend's the sheriff, so he's going to have every car that in McLean County leading us to the county line. So
that's what makes this so cool. And the question I have, obviously, because this is going to be the last go around of the girls Class B as we know it, with 3 classes coming next year. How does this directly affect you and your school, and going forward, how are things going to be drastically different in 2024, if at all?
Yeah, I had gotten to the point, obviously there's so many opinions and people have opinions and there's so much talk about it. And I finally got to the point where I'm just like, we're going to go play who we got to play. I mean, it is what it is. If we're playing the private school still, we're playing the private school still. And if we got to go play some other schools that we traditionally don't play, which we are now because they're going to be in our district, region, or whatever it is, we're going to prepare the same way. I don't care what we are preparing for the big teams in the district and the region. And that way we're never underprepared. But I right away you want it, right? Small town, you're thinking it needs to be changed. And of course, I think it's going to benefit a lot of schools. And I think that's going to kind of help everyone have a chance to compete. But when you do it on a year like this, where it's the last one, it is bittersweet. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, I'll point this out that Region 5, as you well know, Shiloh has owned it. So, I mean, there's got to be just a little extra, pep in your step that, hey, we beat them. They're moving up next year. We were the last ones to get them.
Yeah, my daughter had a basketball tournament yesterday in South Prairie, a 5th grader, and I think I had 20 or 30 people come and talk to me, and every single one of them mentioned that. Thank you for doing that. And I got a lot of respect for Dan Seifert. He's done a great job, and he's a great guy. But that's everybody's thought. And it ain't his fault. He took a job there, and I got nothing but respect for him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you said, they've owned Region 5. And when I took this over 3 years ago, we weren't coming. We were coming to take over. I didn't care who it was. My girls, we wanted it, and we knew we were going to have to go through them. So it makes it really special that the last year that they're in our class, we're the ones representing our region.
That is well said. Now it's on to obviously for the state B and Minot. Describe, getting in there. It's the deal. It's a different deal inside the dome. How do you address the team? Is it the Hoosier speech, the speech, the Herb Brooks speech on Thursday before the game? It's still, it's still in basketball hoop, right?
Yeah, we actually were fortunate enough we had some games canceled. We got some blizzards early December or whatever, and we actually got a game up there this year. And Carly Klein, one of my studs, she ended up getting her 1,000 point there. So we know what it's about. With no backdrop, my shooters didn't like it right away. And of course, there's 3 lines out there, and that's the last thing they need. But they're good. They don't have a conscience. They think they're going to make every single shot, and I'm okay with that. I am perfectly fine with that. But getting that opportunity to play there early on, I think, has helped us. And I know Kenmare went and played there too, so they're going to have the same advantage. But yeah, it's going to be a really fun environment, and we're looking forward to it.
Tell me about that mindset. Is that something that you instilled in them about the no conscious shooting, or is that something that they brought to the team?
Well, back in my day, I really didn't have one either. So I always tell them that I would rather you take a questionable shot than turn the damn ball over, because in girls basketball, they pass it around, and then they turn it over. Well, a questionable shot has a chance of going in. So that's my mindset. I know a lot of people don't like it, but hey, I coach to what I have and what my strengths are, and my girls have bought into it, and it's working.
And you mentioned as well with how you have such a Iron 5 there. Was that something that was just you developed as the season went along, or you knew full well, okay, I can trust these players to make the key plays for us in the critical moments?
Yeah, I think our participation levels, are we have like 11 kids.
Yeah.
And my freshmen, I have a good freshman class, but they're just not quite there yet. And they're getting there and they're putting the work in. But I knew last year we lost 2 seniors and that we were going to end up having to roll with the 5 that we have. And that's why I said the conditioning and them buying in and showing up 3 days a week in the summer, we all had one goal, and it was going to take a lot of work because it wasn't going to be easy. It's the Iron 5, but my other girls that show up to practice and support them and do the little things to help us get better, they're just as much a part of this.
Matt Chase joining us, Garrison girls basketball coach. Lady Troopers will face Kenmare Bowbells in the final game of the day in Minot. My point on that is this kind of experience, do you think that can get more girls to come out?
You like to think that. You like to think with the success. I mean, my first year we won 18 games. Last year we won 22. You think that you get excited about it, and that's my older girls are setting the standard. They're setting the tone for the program. They're showing you what hard work can. I mean, if you put in the work, this is what happens. I mean, a lot of success, and I'm hoping that it does. We got some lower classes, in the elementary school, a lot of basketball players, and hopefully they just stick with it and they take a real hard look at what these 5 and the rest of my girls did too. And if you put the work in, you put the time, and you really love something, this is what can happen.
So people can tell here on television you're wearing a Duke T-shirt here. You're a Dookie. Is that what you're telling me here?
Well, my whole team are Dukies except for one. And I think it's out of spite. But like I said, we're going to roll into that dome Thursday night, and they're all going to be in Duke jerseys, and so are my assistant and I. So that's who we're repping.
Like, is it specific players or just general Duke jerseys? That'd be even better.
All of them. Oh, they got all kinds. They got the Battiers, the Reddicks, the Grayson Allen's, the Zions. They got them all. My youngest daughter's middle name is Leitner.
That was my next point. Is there a Leitner showing up anywhere? There's
fantastic. A Leitner. My youngest daughter.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now that's hardcore. What do you make of Coach? What do you make of what John Shire's done this year?
Right away I didn't like, because I got a lot of energy and a lot of fire, and I know Coach K, he would just hold kids accountable and get after them, and I don't really see that out of Shire, but it's starting to click. I don't like the one and done thing, the freshman. Yeah. I wish he'd go after the transfer portal kids a little bit more, but it's coming together.
We'll see. They're always it's March almost, so
it's March,
and
usually Duke basketball is all I got to look forward to in March, but not this year.
I was going to say, and now your team is playing in March as well, which is pretty awesome.
You got it.
Thanks so much for the time. This was a lot of fun. Safe travels up to Minot, and good luck on Thursday night. All right.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Good to see you, Matt Chase, head coach of the Garrison girls basketball team at State for the first time since 1999. They will match up in the final game of the day. With Kenmare Bowbells. That's at 8:15. Of course, you'll see all the games here on WDAY. And for those that haven't got a chance to watch Garrison play, I would advise you to watch that one on Thursday night. As Matt said, they go about 6 deep, and they like to shoot the ball. And I'll echo what he said, which is not surprising that people came up to him after the game Thursday night, basically thanking him for winning. That is a common refrain, and again, probably a large reason why we now have 3 classes is because of that impact. It's no fault of the Shiloh players that people around the state don't cheer for them, don't like them. That's not their fault. That's just the system or the tradition that they've walked into. But I can name on maybe a couple of fingers the other teams that have advanced out of Region 5. We remember a couple years ago, Wilton Wing had a great run. They made it to the semifinals with Haley Quam, who, by the way, transferred to Shiloh. She spent the last 2 years at Shiloh. But how big a story that was that Wilton made it in 2021. It has been far and few between to see somebody else out of that region get to the state tournament. And when we're talking here, this for 23 years for Garrison to be there, that's monstrous. And I know they will enjoy that. They have certainly the longest drought that they will end when they take the floor on Thursday night. And only, 50 minutes from Garrison to Minot? They're going to enjoy that certainly on Thursday night. Our appreciation and thanks to Matt for coming on. That was good stuff. We're due for a break. We come back. All right, baseball fans, let's have it. Because the pitch clock has already affected game, and it's only spring training. If you missed it over the weekend, we'll show you what happened. Lots to say about that on a foggy Monday morning. Hot Mike is back after this. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Monday morning. Our thanks to Matt Chase for coming on. That was good stuff. You missed that, we'll podcast it later today as the Garrison Lady Troopers at the Girls State B. We'll preview that throughout the week as well. I know we've already visited with, we had Rob Scher on the show on Friday after the Cardinals of Langdon, Edmore Munich won. I know we're going to visit with Jay Bachman from Central Cass as they won the Region 1 championship. We'll do that coming up later this week before the tournament begins on Thursday. Okay, so we have spring training games underway. The Twins play later today. They'll play the Red Sox at noon. I believe the first televised game for the Twins is on Wednesday. So for those, if you saw those shots outside, we've got spring training baseball coming up on Wednesday. If you can make it to then, to enjoy the green grass and sunny skies there. That being said, the new rules of the game are underway, and we had it affect literally the outcome of a game on Saturday. The Braves and the Red Sox game was literally decided because of the pitch clock. If you miss this, this is what happened. Bottom of the ninth inning, the bases are loaded. Atlanta's hitter up at the plate, Clay Conley, took too long in the batter's box. You have to be set in the batter's box with 8 seconds remaining. All right? The umpire says, wait a minute, that's a strike. You're out. And that's the end of the inning. And because it's spring training, that's the end of the game, which ends in a 6-6 tie. Conley thought he was getting first base because he thought the pitcher took too long. It's remarkable. This is honestly where we're going to be at. And I get it. I know nobody's going to be a fan of it. Honestly, it's really hard for me to follow, but this is where we're going. And that ended the game. It ended in a 6-6 tie. So again, for people watching, and I know we got a ton of diehard baseball fans that watch our program or listen to it, that's another part of it. It's not just all on the pitcher. The batter has got to be set as well. He was not set. You can see he's taking his good old sweet time, and he thought he got first base. Instead, he's out, and the game is over. Now, the numbers came in on the length of games, of spring training games this weekend, and it is startling, folks, on how quicker these games have gone. And I get it. Like the Mets, the first 3 spring training games the Mets played, 2 hours, 33 minutes, 2 hours, 34 minutes, 2 hours, 28 minutes. Time of another game, 2 hours, 33, 2 hours, 29. I know we're just started. We've played 2 days worth of games, you're probably going to tell me. But that is a drastic change of what the pitch clock is doing. And that's exactly why Rob Manfred wanted it. Now, I don't think he wanted it to end like that. Can you imagine if that is even a regular season game, and that's how we end it and go to extras with the bases loaded and 2 outs, and you're not set in the box, and you're called out. And you're called out. I get it. I mean, it's different. And we're all going to get used to this, whether we like it or not. The next thing, I mean, I have not sat down and watched a spring training game. I may today. The Mets are on TV today. To actually see how the banning of the shift works, the bigger bases, and particularly this. But if you're telling me the game is going to get over a half hour sooner, I think there's a lot of fans that would be on board with that. I believe that. I think some may come back and say, you know what? Hey, if I know it's going to be done in 2.5 hours. Some may not, just because baseball's too slow. I'm not going to watch it, and I'm done. That's fine. But if this is literally going to speed things up, then I'd say let's see. I know some, and as a purist, I saw this happen the other day, and I just shook. I'm doing exactly now what I did then. Just shake my head. I'm like, wait a minute. That's how the game ended? Because and I thought, again, initially, when you don't see, if you're just watching it without sound and hearing the broadcast, you think it's on the pitcher because the pitcher wasn't set, but it wasn't. The batter wasn't. And you have to be set in the batter's box with 8 seconds to go on the pitch clock, or else you're going to be awarded a strike. Literally, I'm going to need the baseball rule book next to me every day we do this show here after what they've changed. But it came and affected a game there, and it's going to affect something in a big time way, and we're going to all react to it differently, I think. Some may be up in arms for it. Others may be like, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And others may say, you know what? Hey, if it gets me home a half hour earlier, let's go. It's going to be fascinating to see it play out. We'll follow this as spring training is just getting started. We're due for a break. We'll take one now. We come back. State champion hockey head coach Dean French will join us after the Bruins won in overtime on Saturday night in their win over Grand Forks Red River. We'll take a break. Hot Mike returns right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody, on Hot Mike here on WDAY Extra, InForum.com. We started our show with it of what Saturday was, just a crazy sports day. It started with the Bison basketball buzzer beater as they beat Western Illinois. It ended with a triple overtime game winner for Fargo-South-Shanley as the Bruins knocked off Grand Forks Red River to win the 2023 Boys State Hockey Championship. Dean French joins us over the phone here on this Monday morning. Now, state champion head coach Dean French. How's that sound on this Monday?
It sounds pretty good, I guess. A bit of a surprise for us in a way. Obviously, a super hard-fought game and one that at times we thought maybe might not go our way, but we kept fighting and battling, and we came out with the win.
Tell me, just after the first overtime, that's when you can go back and visit with the guys. What are you saying, if anything, in the locker room after the first overtime?
We were battling with a lot of issues at that time. It takes a lot of effort to play Red River up and down the ice. And there are times where they're going to control the puck and you're going to be defending. And defending in your own zone with the way that they protect the puck and the way they move and they cycle, and they're constantly on the move. So defensively, in the man-to-man portion of our defense, our guys need to be on the move and active with their sticks. And that takes a lot of concentration and a lot of effort. And we had guys cramping up and all kinds of issues going on in between periods. So we were trying to identify what kind of energy we had. We had a couple of injuries. And then we were just trying to figure out the best way to approach the matchups and the best way to keep our kids motivated. One of the things we did say was that, if it ended right now and we didn't win, obviously we could be very proud and very happy of what we have accomplished. But we wanted them to pursue it, to not think that way, but to go for it. And even if it meant the pain of losing, we wanted to go for it. And so we collectively decided that we were going to basically empty it on the rink that night. When
you start triple overtime, right? So there's no re-examine the ice there. I mean, you look at the guys, they're tired. I mean, do you even need to say anything when triple overtime started?
Well, say one thing. The second overtime we had significant issues with cramping and guys that couldn't go, so we had to change the lines around, and we really, really went conservative. We went into a deep 1-2-2 and we called it our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu defense, where it looks like we're in deep trouble and we're in our own zone, kind of pulling guard and trying to just survive. But we're very good at that. To other teams it might look like, oh, they're in trouble. But for our team, we understand how to use that. We understand how to play that way, and we don't get too wound up about it. And so, Red River took it to us in that second overtime, but we were trying to do the matchups and trying to survive and look for ways to counterpunch. But in between the second and third, we made a decision. We were telling our guys we need to go now. We need to try to find a way to get up the ice, and we need to start going because we were worried that we were going to run out of energy and we wouldn't have enough left.
So are you feeling you're just like hanging on by your fingernails there as the second overtime was wrapping up?
Very, very strong and very hard to contend with. And so we knew that we had to start taking some chances. And so we were looking to go off the glass and up and try to, oddly enough, that's almost what happened. We bounced one and the defenseman sort of missed the bounce. We knew that they were primarily playing four defensemen, and they were getting tired too. So we were saying, we kept saying it's a one-shot game at this point. We just need the right shot.
That right shot came 18 seconds off the stick of John Lang. What did you see it go in, Dean? And what reaction after the goal went in?
As a head coach, you have to do so much planning. There's so much preparation that goes into every little detail. And honestly, I saw it go in, and we knew we won, and my immediate thought was, oh, thank God we're moving on. And I'm like, who's next? Who do we play next? And then a little later it occurred to me, wait a second, we just won the state championship. And it actually took what seemed like seconds for that to kick in. So
the reaction, the shot, we're watching the video of you on the bench hugging your assistants. Describe that and what you remember of that.
You're always, if that ever happens, you're going to be cool and you're going to, do what the cool coaches do. But honestly, we acted like 4-year-old kids with just joy and celebration. It just was a overwhelming feeling because you feel it for the kids. It's the kids that matter, and it's the players that you care about. And we were in. Look, I've been in this position on the losing side of it way more often, and it hurts. It really, really stings. And you're thinking about what you would need to say to them if you lose a game like that. So when they get to experience that joy, that elation, I don't know if you're ever in that situation, you're trying to be cool. I don't think it can happen. You just react like a child. It was fun.
John Lang got you the overtime winner in the EDC semis as well. What is it about him for a penchant for scoring dramatic goals?
Well, he's a good shooter, and he's a guy we try to get the puck to. He's been that way his whole life. He's been a sniper his whole life. I've seen him when he was in Twerks, and he used to be that kid. And I think Red River has a lot of great shooters, and we have a lot of good playmakers, and a lot of our forwards are outstanding defensive forwards, and they're good passers. But I don't know that we shoot as well as they do. And so of all the guys to get that chance, we're glad it was Johnny.
No, but just describe for him to get it. Does it seem fitting that he was the guy that won this for you?
Yes, just any of the guys that would have won it. But Johnny is one of the guys that we want to have the puck on his stick when there's a moment like that. Obviously, there's others. We have Zach Bourne and several other guys that Colton Messer and others that could score that goal. But Johnny's He's a kid that you can bear down in that minute, in that moment in time, and he did it against Grand Forks Central. And again, we were in this game, what seemed like a similar game, just last Grand Forks Central, and Johnny got the game winner there, and he had almost even more difficult shot to score. It was a shallow angle, had to go up over the goalie's shoulder in the second overtime, and so. He's the guy that we wanted to have the puck on his stick, for sure.
Dean, you've been at South since 2016. You mentioned you guys made it to the state championship. I remember that in 2020 after you played a classic with Davies that went triple overtime and you came up short against Red River. For you being around the game for so long, what does this mean personally for you?
Like I said, I've been on the losing end of this multiple times, and it's hard. We always have sort of underdog teams, and you always run into this fantastic Grand Forks team. So it just means a lot to be able to see the kids that you care about. There's this program that you pour your heart and soul into, get to experience the winning side of it for once. Because, we've had teams that didn't get to win the championship game, but that we thought tried their hardest and did their best, and we were very proud of those teams. And so it means a lot. I also think it means a lot for the kids coming up. We're trying to get more and more kids to stay in North Dakota and to play high school hockey, and hopefully this sends a message of what you can experience and what it can be like for you if you pursue your dreams and your goals. And so we'd sure like to see these Fargo kids stick around and go to their high schools and play high school hockey and have a chance to play with your friends and your buddies and in front of your students and your family and friends and that kind of environment. It's just almost beyond words for me how significant it is what these kids just experienced.
Dean, I've called these games. I've seen how Grand Forks has dominated. How big a deal is it to bring a title back to Fargo? It's been 11 years since one of the schools from Fargo won the boys' championship.
Well, I think it's huge. I really do. I think it'll, hopefully inspire a lot of Fargo kids for all the schools. I think you're going to see a very interesting year next year. I imagine, I don't want to put any kind of jinx on them or anything like that, but I suspect that Fargo North is going to be ranked number 1 at the start of the year next year. They're going to have the team that everybody's going to be looking at. They're going to be really, really good. And it's a shame they weren't in the state tournament this year because they're a very, very good team. So I think you're going to see Fargo competitive next year again. Davies will be strong. I think our team can be strong next year. And hopefully these Squirts and Peewees and Bantams are dreaming. Hopefully they're dreaming of doing this. That's what you want to see happen. You want to see the kids in the Angels program. Grand Forks kids grow up believing they're going to be in a state championship game. And they pursue it very hard. And if you want to beat them, you got to start, building, your systems and your programs. And I think Fargo's doing a good job of that. We've been very competitive. There's been a Fargo team in the state championship game, 3 of the last 4 years, I think it is. And so, we're close. We're close to getting to that level. But, hopefully this starts to push teams over the hump and helps kids believe they can win.
Okay, so what's the plan tonight? You take the night off, get your feet up. How do you enjoy this? Have you enjoyed it yet, or does that happen tonight?
I don't know if any, you know me. I'm immediately planning for next year. I'm having trouble enjoying it because it's there's so much work that goes into the off season of what kids need to be doing, and we're trying to tell our juniors and sophomores of what the things they need to be doing if they want to compete with the teams that are going to be there next year. There's going to be several teams that are going to be strong. Central's going to be reloaded and very strong next year. Red River's going to be strong. So there's a lot of kids here in our program that need to get to work on the things they need to be doing. So I know our kids are trying to, but we have to find a way to say goodbye to our seniors. We have a big senior class, and so we really need our younger kids to start going to work. So.
Enjoy this one because I know for the hockey community in Fargo, I know they were really excited about what happened on Saturday night. Thanks so much for the time and congratulations, bud. That was fun to see.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Dean French, head coach of the South-Shanley Bruins, who won the state championship on Saturday night. An epic 3-2 triple overtime win over Grand Forks Red River. John Lang, who had the overtime winner in the EDC semis against Grand Forks Central. And then now he'll live forever. He will have his name remembered forever because of this goal to beat Grand Forks Red River in triple overtime. We will take our final break. We'll come back. We'll put a bow on things and get you ready for a crazy busy Sports Monday. We'll do that when Hot Mike Raps. Congrats to the Bruins. We're back after this. All right, busy Monday show. A lot of good stuff today. Thanks to Dean French for coming on. Got to be an emotional roller coaster there of what happened on Saturday night. Appreciate that. Tomorrow on the show, Mike McFeely will be by. We'll get our full Summer League tournament preview breakdown. Kyle Emanuel will be by as well. As I mentioned with Kolpack, it is NFL Combine Week, so that begins at the end of the week. the different drills. The quarterbacks will be on the field on Saturday. Some quarterbacks have already announced that they will be throwing. I know that's the big deal now, is who actually throws at the combine. For you nerds out there, Cody Mauch, the offensive lineman, will go on Sunday in Indianapolis, and that's all televised. And actually, they're adding coverage as well on NFL Plus of the individual drills. So we'll get to see all of that. And as potential, maybe we get to see Hunter Lipke and Noah Gindorf out there as well. I'm hopeful we'll get a chance to visit with Tyler Roll. I know he's heading to Indianapolis, as we did last year, maybe prior to the combine getting started. We'll hopefully get that worked out coming up later in the week. Speaking of football news and the combine, Adam Schefter from ESPN reporting the Chicago Bears have been approached by multiple teams about trading the number 1 pick in this year's NFL draft, and Chicago is said to be, quote, leaning toward moving the pick. Sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Bears own the top pick in a year where anywhere from 8 to 12 teams could be looking to make a switch at quarterback. Obviously, Bryce Young is expected to be the first guy off the board, the 2021 Heisman winner from Alabama. The Bears have Justin Fields. Ryan Poles, the general manager, reaffirmed his commitment to Justin Fields after the season was done. You remember the Bears won just 3 games, including tanking their last game of the season when the Texans won, to potentially open that up for Chicago if they wanted to go that route. I thought that never made sense. I thought Fields he's played 2 years. He's on a different trajectory than Zach Wilson. Let's just say that. All right. If you're going to pull the plug on rookie quarterbacks after 2 years, I can understand on Zach Wilson. I do not understand on Justin Fields. There's too much there that is still left unearthed, I think, that you want to build what you have around them. And apparently the Bears know you can get a boatload back for the number 1 pick, then you do that. You look at what the Rams did the last time the number 1 pick, they traded with, what was it, the Titans to move up to number 1 to take Jared Goff. The Rams gave up a substantial amount to Tennessee to move up to number 1. And I would think the Bears could ask for even more if they wanted to do that. So as we get into now, this is the full draft process. The Senior Bowl's done. Now we're into Combine Week, and then it is off and rolling after that to get us really launched into the draft chatter, which we'll do once all of our tournaments wrap up, and we'll intersperse it as best we can on this program. But it will, and it's only going to get cranked up as we get NFL free agency around the corner. That's 2 weeks away before that starts. So it's going to be wild, but apparently the Bears are certainly interested in moving on from the number 1 pick. Let's get you ready for what to watch here on a busy Monday. Lots going on. The Northern Sun Tournament continues today. It's the semifinals. The Dragons play tonight against Bemidji State. That's at 7 o'clock on Midco in the NSIC men's semifinals. Dragons won big last night over Sioux Falls. Now a matchup with Bemidji, a team that has given them some issues, including a loss up in Bemidji earlier this season. That's at 7 o'clock. Our friends at Midco will have that game. The game prior should be a dandy as well at 4:30. Northern State and Duluth. Saul Phillips, Justin Wick, 2 guys we've had on this program, know each other well. That should be a dandy of a semi. Both games are just going to be awesome. That's coming up at 4:30. By the way, the Dragons in Bemidji, MSUM beat Bemidji by 26 when they played in Moorhead in December, and then Bemidji got them by 1 when they played up there just a couple weeks ago at Bemidji. So that will be intriguing for that second game. And, yes, you spring training rubes, there is baseball on TV today, including the New York Mets against the St. Louis Cardinals at noon today on ESPN. So we can see all the ways that they've changed the game. And if we have the pitch clock effect away and get on base, you'll see it coming up this afternoon. That's on ESPN. The Twins are on against the Red Sox. For those that get the MLB TV package, you can watch the Twins today as they're in Fort Myers, obviously, against Boston. I believe Nesson is picking up the game, the New England Sports Network. So for those that have MLB TV, you can watch the Twins today. And I'm sure plenty will on their lunch break this afternoon as they take on Boston. Their first televised game for everybody else that still gets Bally will be on Wednesday when they take on the the Cardinals, I believe it is. That's coming up. No, the Phillies, excuse me, on Wednesday. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Dean French, Matt Chase, and Jeff Kolpack. If you missed any of our program, you can podcast it later today at InForum.com. Just start of a busy week here, folks. Thanks so much for watching. We're back here tomorrow. Same time, same place, same channel. We'll see you then on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra and InForum.com.